Okay, we're going to continue on with our series on how to write the interpretive essay for your English class. And before we learn how to write our body paragraphs, we need to kind of hit the pause button and learn how to outline the body of the essay so that we have a good blueprint from which to write those paragraphs. Now, I guarantee you, if you take my advice and create a solid outline for each paragraph and with some ideas listed there, some textual passages listed there, then when it comes to writing your paragraphs, you'll have good ideas already flowing out of your brain right onto your paper. And you're not rigidly held to sticking to your ideas that you came up with. You can always change it, but it gives you a good starting point. And the one thing that won't happen if you write an outline is you will not be staring at a screen wondering what to write. Wouldn't it be nice to see that problem go away? So let's get started and make our outline for an essay that we're working on. All right, so one thing we want to do as we start on our outline is we want to make sure that each of our body paragraphs contains specific quoted material from the text. And this is because we are interpreting a text. So, if we need to point to some specifics from the text so we can do some analysis and not just be doing commentary or summary, which would get me a low grade on my essay. So let's go and take a look at how we've already got to start with our opening paragraph. Now, you'll recall from part 1 of our series on the interpretive essay, we said the opening paragraph should have some brief summary of the applicable part of the story, and it should also indicate, a topic. And in the case of our previous video, our topic was about the story, The Theft of Persephone from Greek mythology, and how the story is about the origins of the Earth's seasons, but also how it teaches that everything in life is cyclical, and that this cyclical, an embrace of the cyclical aspects of the world actually makes us have a richer, more meaningful life. So my opening paragraph, I'm going to give a little bit of summary, indicate what my topic is, and state an opinion on that topic. But what I'm not going to do, I'm not going to actually start analyzing any specifics from the text until I get into my first body paragraph. Now, you can see in my outline here that after my opening paragraph, I use kind of a schematic to indicate the parts for paragraph 2. Now, we indicate a paragraph in the outline with Roman numerals. So it's the first body paragraph is my second paragraph of the essay. So I'm going to use Roman numeral 2. And then we use a large letter A, B, C, etc. to indicate the main points I want to talk about in that paragraph. And then we can use numbered sections beneath each of those to indicate textual passages I want to discuss, as well as commentary I want to say. Because one thing you don't want to do is just quote the book and not say something about the thing that you quoted there. You always need to have some kind of comment about why that's important. So for my second paragraph, I'm going to say that the gods in ancient times are the ones who make things happen, and that even they experience emotions, so there's inherently unstable conditions for Earth. And then we're going to get into the specifics and use the passage on page 5 where Hades is said to be very puzzled. So even this god cannot control how he is feeling. But then I'm going to finish paragraph 2 by talking about how these emotions do serve purposes. And in this case, I'll talk about how Hades' lovesickness helps to counter his haughty, arrogant demeanor, which is quoted again from page 4. And I will finish with a little commentary saying that love serves an instructive purpose and that the gods' emotions change, so do the seasons. Moving on to my third paragraph, my main topic for the paragraph at the beginning is going to be that a cyclical approach to life keeps things changeable and flexible. And then I'm really just going to have one main idea, which is about Hades and how at the beginning of the story, he's said to be stubborn and rigid. But by the time he gets shot with
Eros's arrow and falls in love with Persephone, he's now experiencing confusion and pain. So I'll finish that paragraph talking about how change is painful, even if in the long run it might be good for us. And then as I get into my fourth paragraph, I'm going to talk about Persephone, who also must experience pain. And we'll recall that prior to her abduction, she's just happily picking garden flowers every day on Earth, and she never really grows up. She's just into her flowers. So she has a very kind of static, unchanging life, even though it seems pretty pleasant. Once she's been kidnapped and taken to the underworld as Hades' queen, her life does take on greater meaning. And we see this on page 12. The narrator says queenhood grew on the young goddess. She learns to see the good and the bad in things as two parts of the same whole. So she learns not to judge things so rigidly. And I'm going to put a second quotation in my fourth paragraph, which is this longer one from page 12. Truly, life in the underworld deeply changed Persephone. Before going there, she cared for nothing but flowers. In Hades, she learned to care for human souls. And so Persephone grew to womanhood. That really, to me, is kind of a core supportive passage for what I want to say in this essay. And I'll finish my paragraph discussing that even though having her life uprooted has caused her some pain, this change, which is a function of life having these cycles and not staying the same, is actually beneficial and good for her character, makes her a better character. So how do I finish the essay? If I'm writing a 5-paragraph essay, I want to reach my destination, obviously, in my 5th paragraph. So my 5th paragraph, or whatever paragraph I want to use to end my essay, should always answer this question: what meaning or relevance can the reader take away from the text? So my idea on that for my conclusion is to just reiterate that life is more meaningful when it cycles across positives and negatives and involves change, that we do not grow as people when things always stay the same. And I'm going to quote from page 4 how Hades was stubborn and haughty, which means kind of arrogant and stuck up. And I'm also going to include a passage from page 15, which says that after living with Hades, Persephone told both the good and the bad. She sees all sides of a situation. And she teaches her mother, Demeter, that things can be okay when life has variation. And I'm going to finish my essay discussing how even Demeter becomes more generous to the humans. You'll recall she kind of doesn't give the humans much of a break, and their crops fail. But she becomes a better god who's more generous to the humans because she's herself learned how to be more patient, having been forced to have these cycles of times when life is lighter and brighter versus heavier and lonesome. So the whole meaning of the story has become richer with my thinking. I've got some good ideas that came to me when I was writing my outline, and that's what happens when you write an outline. You'll go back and open the book and look for things to talk about, and you'll find that you're discovering ideas that are oftentimes pretty good ones. And of course, I'm not stuck with everything here going into my paragraphs. When I actually write the paragraphs, I can throw some of this away or I can add to it. But I think you would agree that based on these outlines of these paragraphs, I can't help but have a pretty well-developed and successful essay.